the experience is with Adesanya on MMA. I think he's the smarter one to win the fight, but Pereira is the harder one, I think. I'm Jason Wilnis, and I fought Israel Adesanya and Alex Pereira 3 times.
So the first guy that you fought was Alex, right? You fought him in Brazil. Was that the first meeting you guys had?
Yes, in Brazil was the first meeting that we faced each other. Yes.
And for people who didn't see that first fight, what do you remember from it? Obviously, I think people can look up the result and stuff, but is there anything that sticks out in your brain about fighting him that time?
Yes, I remember it was a good fight. I won on TKO with kicks to the legs and to the body. I punched him also, so it was a hard fight.
Yeah, and then the second time you guys fought was in Glory. You obviously it was a rematch, so you were familiar with him that time around. What do you remember from that fight? Was it a lot different than the first fight?
He was a little bit better, I think, but was also the same. I won that fight on points. It was a good fight also, and in Dubai is the rematch for him. So he was hunger to win, but I won that second fight also.
Yeah, and then you guys fought a third time. He won that one. What was kind of the difference there? What do you kind of tack that loss up to?
Yes, he rocked me with a head kick, and from that moment I was gone, And in that third fight, he was a lot more experienced. I think he did his preparations very good. So that was the big difference in that third fight.
What do you think he does really well? Like as a kickboxer yourself, when you watch him fight or when you fought him, are there things that he does that stick out to you that you think he's really good at?
Yes, in the later years, so not in the beginning, but in the later years, if I can say, he was a lot more experienced. He came in much harder, going more for the knockout, and he had some hard strikes, man, in the last year. So you can see his knockouts also, and he was improved a lot.
And is he one of the hardest hitting guys you think you've ever fought?
In that weight, yes, and he was very big, man. His punches and kicks were very hard.
And just kind of flipping it over to your experience against Israel, you fought him once, correct?
Yes, it was a title defense in Los Angeles on Glory, and I won that fight on points. I scored a lot with leg kicks, the Dutch style of fighting, and yes, I scored my points. He was moving a lot. His head was difficult to hit, but I scored the damage strikes, damage points, and some people thought that he won the fight, but I won on unanimous decision. But it was a good fight. Israel was also a hard guy to fight, man. I was kicking him so hard. He moved like he never felt something, man. He still moved in the fifth round like the first round, So his ability to take damage was high, and he was still moving. So that was crazy about him, man.
Yeah, to be really honest, I think Alex can win this fight. Alex will win this fight, and that is it's not like a big percentages or whatever. My name is Yousri Belgaroui. I fought Israel Adesanya twice and Alex Pereira 3 times.
When you fought Izzy the first time, what did you know about him? Was he somebody that was on your radar, or was he kind of a new guy to the international circuit, so to speak?
Well, I didn't know him. He already had like 50 fights in his pocket, but mainly in China, I guess. And we were fighting for a Chinese organization, WLF. He was fighting for the Chinese flag as well back then. And but when I came there, I saw he was already a star there, and he was like the golden kid from them. So I knew I had to give it a real fight. Um, so I did my best. I was a young guy. I was 24. We had a good fight, back and forth, 3 rounds, and in the end, he got a split decision for him. He won the fight.
And I watched the Glory fight back, which I believe was his Glory debut, and he kind of said something afterwards, which was like, "Oh, he doesn't talk as much, or he didn't bring as much energy this time." Did you guys not really like each other, or was it just kind of a competitive thing?
Well, after the first fight, which I thought I'd won, he, we didn't really speak. But I had a not so nice altercation with his coach in the dressing room. I was just mad about the decision, and not even looking at them or talking to them. But they were kind of like celebrating towards me, like, "Yo, you lost your first fight, man," blah blah blah. And I responded to that because I really didn't like that. I didn't thought that was respectful. So then we had our second fight. It was not so long after the first one, and it was my Glory debut. He already fought in Glory. Yeah, he acted like I had excuses for losing the first fight. There were no excuses. It was just that I thought that I might have won. Like, I think maybe whatever. So I said that, and then he said that, but it wasn't really personal things. Just he trying to get in my head or whatever.
Yeah, and I think that was the second one was also a split decision loss.
Yes.
Right. Was that difficult for you to deal with? Like, did you feel like, I mean, I watched the Glory fight. It was close. Like, as it stands now, do you still feel like those fights should have gone your way, or did you kind of come to terms with either of them?
It's a judge sport. So if one judge sees it for me, two for him, you can always say things like, yeah, maybe he put more pressure, or maybe I hit him more often than he did me. Maybe he's longer in the organization. Whatever, you can have those discussions. But for me, they were draws. Let's keep it at that.
Yeah. And as somebody that's fought him twice, and I'm sure you're obviously helping Alex out for this preparation, what are the things you feel like, as a kickboxer yourself, a very, very high level, world-class kickboxer, what do you feel like are his biggest strengths? Are the things that when you watch him, you're like, man, this guy's really good at this?
Yeah, he's just his movement is amazing. His footwork is amazing. Um, Also, he just understands how to control that octagon. He fights from the outside, feints a lot, so people don't know when he enters. He uses your rhythm, so your step to attack. When you're trying to close distance, he moves out very nice. He's orthodox to unorthodox southpaw. He does that very well, and then uses that. Um, yeah, that are the most important things that I see.
And let's talk about the other side of the equation. You and Alex, you guys fought 3 times, right? And so that was, before this, I was watching Glory had kind of put together this package that was like a highlights of the 3 fights you guys have. They said it was a rivalry and whatnot. Can you just kind of talk about fighting him? I know you fought him 3 times, so maybe it's hard for you to pick out specifics from each bout. But what was your experience like fighting Alex for those 3 times?
Yeah. Well, the first time, like I said, it was the same period. I didn't really look at my opponents and everything. Yeah. Didn't really expect a lot. It went good. Also was in a tournament, so both fights were in a tournament with Izzy as well as with Alex. Yeah, I just I outstruck him there on points. I just moved around and won the fight in unanimous decision. Second fight, I thought, hey, this time I have to knock him out because he was on social media saying that I was running. So this got in my head, and it worked because for the title fight, I was like, yeah, I have to knock him out. I didn't respect his power, and in the fight, it was a hard fight. I thought I was winning. Then he hit me. Boom. He hit me one time right after the bell. Even though he's my brother, I still have to call him out for that. He hit me after the bell and really buzzed me. So I came in the round, in the second or whatever round it was. I came angry. So I came forward and already a bit tired. And that was the moment when he hit me, boom, with his stone hand. and then I had to duck into my guard, and then he catched me with a knee, split me open, and he won that fight. Third fight, don't have to add a lot of words because there's not a lot of time in that fight. First round, he caught me with a nice trick, overhand. I did an overhand. He caught me in the punch. He had the better angle, and it was a knockout win. Uh, those are the three fights with him.
Yeah, and for the MMA crowd, for us that kind of maybe saw highlights of Alex, but then we've got to know him through MMA, it's become very obvious how much power he has, even in short punches. In your kickboxing career, where does he rank of the hardest hitters that you faced?
Not just in the kickboxing career, but also in my training career. He because I sparred with a lot of heavyweights and a lot of strong guys who I never had to fight in the ring. But he ranks number one as hardest hitter.
Yeah, I gotta lean towards Izzy for sure. He's the champ, and then also he has something to prove. But and then I mean, like, even when you watch both those fights, he was picking them apart the entire fight, and the factor that Alex can knock you out at any moment. But I don't see Izzy slipping with everything that's on the line there. Yeah, my name's Rob Thomas. I fought Alex Pereira once, and I fought Israel Adesanya once as well.
So the first guy you fought was Pereira, right? And what do you remember from that fight? I mean, you've obviously had a lot of fights in your career, and maybe it's not totally sharp, but do you remember anything sticking out from being in there with him? Just kind of maybe some of the things that you were surprised by or that you found that he really excelled at?
I mean, I knew he hit hard. He had really good boxing, hit hard. I didn't think he had any like leg stuff there. Like, he wasn't much of a kick fighter at that time. He was mostly boxing. Now he's been knocking guys out with kicks and knees and whatever. But yeah, obviously watch out for the left hook. He had knocked out Jacoby with that left hook. And but yeah, nothing was really surprising. He would just kind of, he had a good boxing style, good bounce, and just hit hard with the hands.
Was his power something that was really something that you remember being a big difference maybe than some other guys?
Yeah, he was the first guy to ever put me down. Yeah, I had like 100 amateur fights, and at that point, I think I was 6-1 professional when I fought him. And yeah, he was the first guy to ever drop me.
Pivot to Izzy right there. I think that's a perfect segue. You've been in there with him as well.
Yep.
Would you say Pereira is maybe the more imposing figure of the two?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Pereira's like a big, scary-looking guy, and yeah, he's like the Terminator, like no emotion. But yeah. So I mean, when it comes to just like sheer intimidation, obviously the knockout factors of Pereira, he's definitely more intimidating.
And so, what's it like being in there with him, with Israel Adesanya?
Yeah, I mean, the guy moves so well. Like, he baited me into some shots hard. Like, he was attacking my body. Like, he was southpaw, and then he kept hitting that left kick to my liver all fight and blasting my liver. And then the first shot that knocked me down, he was an orthodox, and then he like shifted backwards. So he shifted back to southpaw. So then I went to throw the right hand, right? Sets up nicely against the southpaw, but he fucking baited it so nice. He shifted to southpaw, and then he fucking threw a jump knee right as I threw that cross, and it just, like, it hurt to breathe for a while. It hurt to breathe for like a good month. It hurt to take a deep breath, just like right in the solar plex, fucking crushed my ribs. Like, yeah, at like the 8 count, it hit 8, and then like I took a step up, I took a deep breath, and it was just like crack, 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 crack. So yeah, the guy's tricky. He sees stuff. He's got really good coaches that are, that are picking up on these things as well. And he's just setting traps and baiting you into stuff. And like, for sure, easily the most technical like chess player of a fighter that I've ever fought.
Adesanya was beating Pereira the entire fight, and then Pereira knocked him out with 1 or 2 punches. So it showed that Adesanya was the better striker at that time and the more skilled and higher level guy, whereas we've always known Pereira's had that 1-punch knockout power. Marcus, I fought Alex Pereira twice, as well as Israel Adesanya once.
One of the two did you fight first?
Adesanya. No, I wasn't familiar with him at the time we fought. He was still coming up, but he was doing well. He was undefeated, hadn't been beaten yet, and fighting very often. So he was making a name, but just not at the top at the time. But I remember he had a lot of cardio, and as the fight went on, he didn't tire very much as guys usually do.
Yeah, and looking at the result here, it says that it was an extension round decision. So is that essentially like a fourth round, right?
Right. It
Yes.
was a real close fight. He was kind of outboxing me, and I was kind of out kicking him. And yeah, I went to the extra round, and I got the extra round. He's good. He has good composure and good footwork. He's able to move his feet and stay grounded and balanced quickly, as well as he has really good boxing IQ and boxing ability. He's able to slip punches, find his range, put together combos. So he has good skills with his hands and very good with his balance and his footwork. With Pereira, he first fight, he had a lot of reach, and he was quite accurate and fast in the early rounds. So he knocked me down in the second round. I also hurt my foot in the second round, and I wasn't in my best condition for that first fight. So early on, he did some damage, got the knockdown, but later on in the fight, he faded, and I was able to finish. He started every round strong, but didn't finish the round strong. I was able to finish the round stronger than he did. But he's big and hard to push back. So from the first fight, I remember him starting strong, ending a little weaker in the whole fight as a total, as well as each round. And second fight, he was a little bit different. He was bigger the second fight, bigger, stronger, and I think he had just accumulated more confidence in his punch ability and knockout power, and he had been working on things. So he was definitely more skilled, more relaxed, more cardio, bigger, stronger in the second fight than the first. As for that one punch, heavy punch power, he definitely probably hits the hardest out of anyone I've fought. But at the same note, he's also the biggest fighter out of anyone I've fought.